Most little girls dream of one day having a crown placed onto her head and everyone clapping and cheering as she waves back to the crowd, gleaming with pride. For many or most, this dream dies out with age, or they just stop caring about that and move on to other dreams. But for those ones who are deemed worthy enough to be crowned queen, some believe it comes attached with a curse. Here are 17 former homecoming queens who had some extremely unfortunate events come their way after being crowned. Before the video gets started, make sure you like it, share it, subscribe, and hit the bell so you get notified when I make new videos. Enjoy! When she joined the Baltimore Ravens cheerleaders in 2005 at age 38, Maryland socialite Molly Shattuck became the oldest cheerleader in NFL history. In 2014, at age 47, she was convicted of statutory rape due to a series of sexual trysts she had with a 15-year-old male friend of her son's. She had performed oral sex on the youth over Labor Day weekend of 2014, occasionally met in parked cars, and swapped sex with the boy. 30 years earlier, she had been voted homecoming queen of Delaware's Ford City High School. A devoted acolyte of Charles Manson, as well as an enthusiastic imbiber of LSD and speed, Leslie Van Houten had twice been elected homecoming princess at California's Monrovia High School. One night in August of 1969, accompanied by 5 other Manson family members, Van Houten visited the house of Lino and Rosemary LaBianca, where she aided in the latter's death by stabbing her numerous times in the back. A former homecoming queen from Norwin High School in Pennsylvania, Donna Sturkey Anthony, had numerous brushes with the law. These involved smearing her feces in the back of a police car during a DUI arrest, allegedly stealing a neighbor's phone and vowing to burn down their trailer if they snitched, tossing ground meat at a neighbor, and threatening to kick a pregnant neighbor in the stomach. But the lowest she ever sank was a 2008 incident where she was visiting her sister's trailer, and an argument erupted that culminated in Anthony allegedly removing her sister's prosthetic leg and beating her with it. In 1968, Rita Grant was voted homecoming queen of Florida's Eau Gallie High School. 18 years later, she was living on the streets of San Francisco, shooting up heroin with dirty needles. Her teeth were rotted out, her hair dried like straw, and ravaged by AIDS. "19-year-old Jalen Young was an honor student and homecoming queen at her Mississippi high school. In the summer of 2015, she and her boyfriend were arrested and charged with conspiring to provide material to support a terrorist group, namely the Islamic State, also known as ISIS. The FBI alleges that their undercover agents engaged in email conversations with Young, where she'd expressed her desire to move to Syria and wage holy war on behalf of ISIS. She also allegedly said she wanted to breed and help raise little cubs to fight for ISIS in the future. Samantha Spady was the embodiment of a popular girl at her high school in Beatrice, Nebraska. She was the cheerleading captain, class president, and homecoming queen. But one fateful night in 2004, while she was attending college, she guzzled multiple beers, several shots of tequila, and topped it all off by chugging vanilla vodka from a bottle at 4 a.m. as members of the frat house where she was partying chanted, "Go, go, go." She passed out soon thereafter, and her associates said they thought she could sleep it off. but she was likely already in a coma, and her body wasn't discovered until the next day when a frat boy was taking his mom through a tour of the fraternity and chanced upon her corpse. Spady's blood alcohol content at the time of her death was roughly 5 times the legal limit. In 1982, former Rhode Island High School homecoming queen Doreen C. Picard was strangled with her own sweater and then beaten to death with a lead pipe. A man known as Raymond Beaver Tempest was convicted of the killing and sentenced to an 85-year prison bid. But in 2015, he was released when he successfully petitioned a judge to compare his DNA to that found on Picard's cadaver. Jennifer Hampton was the high school homecoming queen in the tiny town of Waterloo, Alabama. In 2008, while staying at a Days Inn in Knoxville, Tennessee, she was raped, strangled to death, and dumped in a nearby lake. A 20-year-old illegal immigrant who didn't speak English was arrested and convicted of Hampton's murder after his common-law wife, who worked at the motel, noticed blood on his pants. He used his wife's master key to break into Hampton's room. A fisherman found Hampton's nude body floating in a lake about 10 miles from the hotel. At her high school in Louisville, Kentucky, Kayla Brown was voted both homecoming queen and most likely to be famous. One day in 2013, only a year after she graduated, her life was cut short by a hit-and-run driver in a white sedan. Mickey Kuntz of Williamson, West Virginia, was a former cheerleader and homecoming queen when she was shot to death in 1996 at the age of 17, under orders of a local drug boss whom she allegedly owed $2,000. Her body was found near a sewage treatment plant. In a Pennsylvania church parking lot one night in 2005, while choir practice was going on inside, apparently so loudly that no one heard gunshots, former homecoming queen Catherine Cat Palmer was shot in the hip after an apparent domestic dispute with her boyfriend of 3 or 4 years. Her 12-week-old fetus survived the ordeal unscathed, registering a strong heartbeat shortly after the shooting. A friend described Palmer as a very sweet person who would never hurt anybody. Vicki Lee Harvey was a former cheerleader and homecoming queen in rural Washington state. In 2011, when she was 59 years old, a male acquaintance murdered her and dumped her corpse along a remote road. Francesca Vitale Weatherhead was a 25-year-old newlywed and former Michigan homecoming queen. On the day in October 2014, when she was driving to work and got creamed by a recently paroled felon with multiple arrests who ran a red light during a police chase. Dr. Martin McNeil was a California physician, porn addict, serial cheater, and child molester who was found guilty of force-feeding his beautiful blonde wife Michelle, a former homecoming queen and beauty queen, a fatal dose of pills in April of 2007. Dr. McNeil set up the murder so that Michelle's 6-year-old daughter discovered her mother's unconscious body in a bathtub filled with bloody water. Mercedes Morris was a former homecoming queen at Lee High School in Huntsville, Alabama. On New Year's Day of 2014, she was shot dead while sitting in the passenger seat of a car at a gas station. Marjorie Greta Mason of Pulaski County, Arizona, was an Air Force nurse and former homecoming queen who was kidnapped, raped, and murdered on February 2nd of 1983. A mentally disabled man named Barry Lee Fairchild was convicted of the murder and died of lethal injection in 1995. Mary Horton Vale of Lake Charles, Louisiana, was a former homecoming queen whose dead body was recovered in a local river in 1962. A scarf that had been wrapped around her neck and shoved deeply in her mouth, as well as bruises on her neck and legs, suggested that this was more than a simple drowning her husband Felix insisted it was. But before he could be questioned for the murder, Felix skipped town and was never seen again. Well, how about you? Do you feel like you missed out by being the chosen one? Or were you crowned queen and often daydream about the glory days? Or have you had a streak of unlucky coincidences that leads you to believe that you too have been cursed? Let me save everyone some time and agony and tell you that you can buy one of these crowns at Walmart for $10. See you next time.